What's up, everybody? Recording this here at 8 in the morning. Got back from the airport from my bachelor party at basically the time Lamar Jackson was flipping into the end zone last night. Enough time to wake up and actually get the power rankings done this morning before I head down to Lambeau for Monday Night Football. And then it's off to the Ryder Cup on Tuesday. Heck of a week. No better way to celebrate. But also got construction going on outside. Sorry if you can hear that. But I did want to get the power rankings up for the week here, considering I won't be back home for a few days here. So it is going to be really without the Packers Lions reactions here. We're just going to apply everything we felt we knew about those two teams heading into the week. But let's go ahead and get started here. Please do hit that like button down below as well. Really helps me out. And here we go. The Jacksonville Jaguars are going to stay put at number 32. I mean, the Urban Meyer era continues to be underwhelming. It looked good at the start. Trevor Lawrence dropped a dime, and then the team just disappeared for the rest of the game. So, rough start for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Then we have the Houston Texans. They are going to stay put, although they've been surprisingly competitive this season. Tyrod did get hurt. Sounds like he's not going to play Thursday Night Football. Going to be a quick turnaround. I think the Texans are interesting. I think David Culley? Anyway, he's been a surprisingly fun coach and has gotten those guys with this kind of veteran, nobody wanted us squad together. And it's kind of fun to see, but they're still not all that good of a football team. Lions at number 30. Not going to talk about them this week because we're recording before that game. We got the Jets at number 29. Zach Wilson seeing ghosts, Sam Darnold style, throwing 4 picks against the Patriots this week. Obviously not what you want your young quarterback doing. He is a quarterback that, he likes to play a little hero ball. And this is something we've talked about with these young quarterbacks and it happened to Sam Darnold right here, is as good of a prospect as a guy might be. If you put him behind a bad offensive line and really put him in a situation where he feels like he needs to carry the team, that can really be dangerous. So the Jets need to find a way to hone that in, change the game plan up, and develop him a little bit better than we've seen them do with quarterbacks in years past. So definitely some concern on Zach Wilson after I thought he played really well in week 1. And then we got the Falcons at number 28 staying put. This defense, I think it's safe to say, is the worst in the NFL, which is not a surprise, knowing what it was coming into the season. No pass rush, coverage stinks, and the offense hasn't quite shown the fireworks that I thought they would early on. There's some signs in there. They got Kyle Pitts going this week, but yeah, the Falcons are not any good, and that concludes our bottom tier. So we actually added the Falcons and the Jets to that bottom tier of NFL teams. Then we have the New York Giants at number 27. So the bottom ranking teams, we actually don't have any movement here heading into week 3. But yeah, the Giants actually, in some ways, surprising. Daniel Jones, that actually played pretty well on Thursday Night Football, but the defense has been a little bit worse than expected as well. So that's probably about a push. And the Giants are just not an exciting football team, and I still think Saquon should request a trade at this point. The Philadelphia Eagles are also going to stay put at number 26 after a big week 1. It came down to earth a little bit. That defense still looking really nasty. Unfortunately, Brandon Graham sounds like he's going to miss the rest of his season, and that's a blow to a D-line and a team that their identity was how well they can dominate the line of scrimmage. And losing one of the best pass rushers in football is certainly not going to help that. So while the defense has looked good, an injury is also going to have a little bit of a pump the brakes there. The Bengals are going to drop down 2 spots. Definitely a disappointing week 2 there. The offense unable to do literally anything against the Bears, and the worst case scenario being that the offensive line looked like a unit that maybe needed to be invested in a little bit more over the summer. Really struggled, and Joe Burrow was getting hit. Getting hit a ton. 3 interceptions. Just Burrow having no time to throw back there. They rally and kind of make it close at the end, and the defense has been okay. But yeah, the Bengals need just a better system on offense, whether it's scheme, offensive line, consistency, you name it. Kind of doing similar things to Burrow, it seems a lot of the times, as the Jets were doing to Zach Wilson. Then the Bears at number 24, after beating the Bengals, climbing up a spot there. The offense is still pretty difficult to watch, whether it's Dalton in there, Fields in there. There just isn't a whole lot there other than Allen Robinson. And it's just tough. The defense is capable of playing like that. You have superstars across the board, Eddie Jackson, Roquan Smith, Khalil Mack, all three levels. But when you struggle to move the ball on offense, you're asking for teams like the Bengals to keep it close, and it's just a risky proposition. But it was good, certainly, to see the Bears defense bounce back and look like their old self after a rough week one with some blown coverages. Then the Miami Dolphins dropping down 3 spots, and obviously you hope Tua can get healthy. Sounds like a rib injury shouldn't keep him out for too long. I don't think we'll probably hear more in these next couple days. But as critical as I've been of Tua, a big part of why I've been lower on the Dolphins is it's not just Tua, it's the offensive line stinks, and I think the play calling and the game planning on that side of the ball is just anemic. And we saw that here, getting shut out with Jacoby Brissett coming in. So I don't really want to pile on the Dolphins here, but obviously the offensive concerns here are enormous. And as good as that defense is, they can't be good when they're on the field the entire game. So the Dolphins definitely dropping down 3 spots. They got to get Tua back and try to get some momentum on that offensive side of the ball. And then the Washington football team is actually going to drop down 3 spots here despite the big win on primetime football. And this is because this team's identity was supposed to be elite defense. And yes, the offense has been a little bit better than expected, but am I expecting this to be a team that puts up 30 points every week, that gets into shootouts and sustains that? No, not at this point in time. Heineke's interesting, but we're not there yet. This defense has actually been a lot worse than expected. Chase Young, only 4 pressures, no sacks through the first 2 weeks. He was supposed to be kind of the identity of this team, and it just hasn't been there quite yet. They can still get there, but they're actually going to drop down 3 spots because this has not been the elite defense that I thought they could be from day one. Then we have a tier jump up with the Carolina Panthers, who I think have been, along with another team that we're going to do here shortly, the biggest stock up team so far. Already climbing up 4 spots in these power rankings from the bottom here. A team that was super young and a ton of question marks. Obviously on offense with Sam Darnold coming in as well, but defensively, just a ton of fast, highly drafted young players. We didn't know how this was all going to come together. Matt Rule in just his 2nd year here as well. And man, does this team look like they're hitting on young defensive players, and Matt Rule looks like he can absolutely coach. All 3 levels of this defense just flying around, looking really good. It was a unit that I said in my deep dive that I think this team has a really good chance to shatter my ranking of them, and if I had to bet, I would say they would. And so far, that is aging. I mean, this team is fast and exciting, and they play on Thursday Night Football against the Texans. They're going to be probably 3-0 before we can even blink here. So the Panthers are definitely stock up, and Sam Darnold doesn't look half bad as well. Then the Denver Broncos, just very steady. That defense continues to be really impressive, so that is very good to see. They have all of the talent in the world on that side of the ball. Teddy Bridgewater just kind of taking what's there, playing smart football. Looks definitely like the right decision to go with Teddy Bridgewater over Drew Lock and just, let those playmakers do their thing, run the ball and play defense. And the Broncos, if they keep this up, are probably going to be a playoff team. But they've also played the Jags and the Giants, so it's just hard to know exactly how much you can take away from that. Then the Colts at 19. They did play the Rams a little better than I expected, but really just more of the same. With the Colts, they're kind of stuck in purgatory at the moment, trying to kind of figure out what they can get from a consistent basis from Carson Wentz. And they're definitely still a competitive team, just a tough team to kind of break down right now. Then the Minnesota Vikings dropping down 1 spot after just another heartbreaking loss. Minnesota sports continue to be cursed. The Vikings kind of had the game taken away from them last week. The fumble, not fumble, we don't know. And then this week they fight back and miss a 37-yard field goal for the win. They are a very, very painful 0-2 right now. If you want a positive takeaway, it's that the offense played really well. Dalvin Cook was cooking, and Kirk Cousins played pretty well. So it's not all lost for the Vikings. There's still a lot of season ahead, but the defense has not been great. And let's move on. The New Orleans Saints at number 17 are going to drop down 5 spots, and this is because Jameis Winston went from, okay, it looks like he's going to be a pretty decent quarterback, to, okay, can he actually move the football? This team's been very polarizing. Week 1, they look dominant. Week 2, they look like one of the worst teams in football. They also have a ton of injuries right now, so a team that is difficult to know exactly what to do with them at the moment. So we're going to have them kind of right in the middle of the league there at number 17. But they are going to wrap up this tier as we now move up into much more serious playoff contenders. Where the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to drop down 3 spots. The offensive concerns that myself and many people had on this team definitely surfacing this week. Big Ben just feels like he's laboring out there trying to move the football, and the offensive line has not really come together for them. So that's the concern. And when TJ Watt gets injured and your defense is not spectacular, this is just kind of a middling, very good football team, but going to have a hard time beating teams that can actually move the football, like the Raiders. Then the New England Patriots are going to drop down a spot despite the win this week. The Patriots have kind of been what I thought they would be coming in, a team that basically tries to score around 20 points every week, plays it close to the belt, runs the ball, and just plays great defense. They barely lost week 1 and come out on top of the Jets this week. The only reason they're dropping here is because the Las Vegas Raiders have stunned me. I had them, 27th heading into the year? I thought this defense was going to be right there with the Atlanta Falcons for the worst in the NFL. And Yannick Ngakoue, Max Crosby, this secondary, the new coaching addition, the new coaching changes. The defense has been, at worst, solid, which, as I said, if they could somehow have solid defense, this is a good football team. But on top of that, you're also getting Derek Carr playing incredible football, playing with a little bit more of that it factor, getting the ball downfield, getting guys like Ruggs involved for massive touchdowns. Bryan Edwards, Darren Waller, this team has a very effective passing game right now. And after 2 weeks, I don't think there's a team that looks like I was more wrong about than the Las Vegas Raiders. So Raiders fans are going to have some fun with me. That's perfectly fine. I do enjoy this team a lot when they are cooking. So +7 for the Raiders, climbing a massive 12 spots in 2 weeks, looking like a much different football team than I projected coming into the season. Then the Los Angeles Chargers dropping down 2 spots with the loss this week. The offense just slowing down a little bit, and looked like, maybe week 1 they came on the road, went to Washington that was supposed to be this great defense, and left a little bit on the board, but we're moving the ball really well. Not always the case here against Dallas. Bad turnover in the red zone for Herbert. I'm not necessarily worried about the Chargers, but it was a disappointing loss. I think that was a game they could have won. And they made some mistakes that ended up costing them the game. And it is the Cowboys who are going to come in right above them after edging out the Chargers. It's a good football team. We know this offense is incredible. But the fact that a guy like Cedric Wilson, who's like the 7th playmaker on this team, looks explosive and a nice option to go to. You got Tony Pollard, clearly the best running back on this team. It's night and day. But you got Amari Cooper, you got CeeDee Lamb. I mean, these guys can move the ball. And when this defense plays just okay, like they've been, Micah Parsons has added kind of a life force to this defense. In there as a defensive end this week, just the speed, the tackling ability, the energy, paired with, upgraded coaching staff. Just having average defense here makes the Cowboys a team that can win any game. Then you have the Tennessee Titans going to climb up 4 spots as well. Huge game, huge win, huge comeback for this team. They're getting blown out by the Seahawks around the 3rd quarter. They struggled a lot week 1. Things were looking really bad for the Titans. And then all of a sudden, things came alive. And they were moving the ball. Derrick Henry woke up. And we know this offense is one of the best in the NFL when they are moving like that. Still some worries about the defense, absolutely, but a huge team win to regather the momentum here and let's go. Let's get the season started for the Tennessee Titans. Then we have a tier gap up here to teams that I think are Super Bowl contenders. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be at the bottom of that tier, though that is wavering. There's just not a lot of explosiveness for this team, and I am worried about the secondary here. They are resilient, and I still think maybe the second or third most well-coached team in the league, and I still have a ton of confidence in the Niners, but it's wavering a little bit as far as that S word, the Super Bowl word. I don't know. We'll find out as they play some better competition. They get the Packers next week on Sunday Night Football. So we'll learn a little bit more about, what this team's going to look like just as far as total this season and what kind of these injuries mean for this team against more explosive offenses, assuming the Packers are not the week 1 offense. We'll find out tonight, I guess. And then the Ravens at number 9. So they are going to stay put. Ravens fans are going to be very disappointed in that after beating the Chiefs. But do look at it this way. You are passing up the 49ers. The problem is our next team has just been a little more impressive throughout the course of the season so far. But yeah, I mean, you got Lamar Jackson playing like that, basically putting the team on his back. Playing resilient after this team was down bad. I think they still have some stuff to clean up. They're still figuring out kind of like how this team's going to shape up with all of these injuries. 15 players on IR. Just ridiculous. But this is why culture and quarterback play and coaching is so important, because the Ravens are a team that can survive a rough start like they've had with these injuries. It's just a matter of sustaining that, and I think they can. Then we have the Arizona Cardinals +2. As I mentioned, someone has just been a little bit more impressive throughout the course of these first 2 weeks, and that is the Arizona Cardinals. Man, Kyler Murray, I would say, has potentially been the best quarterback in the NFL through 2 weeks, especially just when you look at how he's elevating the offense, the plays he's making. I really don't know if anybody in the NFL can make these plays. That includes Patrick Mahomes, just because the escapability of Kyler Murray is on a different level right now. He looks like Lamar Jackson with elite pocket presence right now, which is just terrifying. And defense took a step back this week against an explosive Vikings offense, but with Kyler Murray in the zone with these playmakers, Rondale Moore looking like a hit, which is just such a great second-round pick for them. And the Cardinals are very, very scary right now. I cannot wait to see this team go up against these NFC West teams that still have all 4 teams ranked in the top 10, as the Seattle Seahawks are going to come in number 7. Not quite ready to move them yet, because the reason this team ranks 7th and not in the top 5 already is because I don't trust this defense, and this has always been a team that gets in these weird games and can blow leads and play down to competition. Not saying that's what they did to Tennessee necessarily, but what I'm saying is I feel like what I know about the Seahawks hasn't really changed, and they still showed this week that they are incredibly explosive offensively. Tyler Lockett is apparently just going to score 56 touchdowns this year. So that's still very good. Yes, they fell apart at the end, and it was I guess almost an expected Seahawks game in a lot of ways, because it feels like they're always in these weird games. But that was much more for me about Tennessee coming alive than it was for me like being worried about Seattle. I think with Russell Wilson and that team, and Shane Waldron has been awesome as the new offense coordinator, I'm not going to panic about the Seahawks after that specific game. And then the Browns at number 6 going to stay put as well. Kind of got caught off guard early on against the Texans, but was clearly the better football team as the game went on. They ran the ball at a great level. Still no Odell Beckham for this team. Don't know if he's ever going to play for them at this point, but they are going to stay put. That loaded roster there in Cleveland, getting their first win of the season. Then the Buffalo Bills at number 5, just kind of felt like they were on offense the entire game. The Dolphins' offense is just so hard to watch. I don't even have that many takeaways from that game for the Bills. Just kind of taking care of business against a much more inferior football team. Then the Packers, as we've said, are going to stay put at number 4. We're going to find out tonight kind of, if week 1 was a fluke, can they take care of business, or are they actually a team that is overranked here that we should be worried a little bit more about? Then we have the Rams at number 3. Didn't necessarily dominate the Colts like I kind of thought they would, but still a tough road win. They had to really fight for that one. It's just good to have a guy like Matthew Stafford in a game like that where you do need to lean on the quarterback a little more, and you can see pieces week by week at this point. why they felt the need to make that move. I got to clean some things up defensively. And that's really it. They're a very good football team staying put at number 3. And then we are going to keep the Chiefs in the top tier here. I really don't think it was a bad loss. Ravens came alive. Lamar went superhuman on them. But they were still explosive all game and were a Clyde Edwards-Helaire fumble away from having a really good road victory. I did say coming into the year that this Chiefs defense is very concerning. It's Chris Jones and Tyrann Mathieu and maybe L'Jarius Sneed and then really nobody else. And that's kind of surfaced. This defense has not played particularly well. So that's definitely noteworthy. But when the offense is as historically good as they are going to be able to hang with and probably beat anybody. Except for maybe not the Tampa Bay Bucks, who stay number 1. This team is just steamrolling everybody right now offensively. Tom Brady deserves a ton of credit for looking as good and as healthy and as fresh as he has at 44 years old. The offensive line kicking butt. And then this receiving core, as we said coming into the year, I don't think it's hyperbolic to say that this is the best receiving core the NFL has ever seen. The fact that they have Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Mike Evans, and then you got Gronk playing like he's playing. It's just unbelievably explosive. So you got that. You got a defense that actually hasn't been, I think, as good as it can be. So the Bucs are scary. Definitely the best team in football. No argument there. And that's going to do it for the Week 3 Power Rankings. Appreciate everybody for watching. Enjoy Monday Night Football. And I'll be back probably on Thursday with the podcast this week. And yeah, we'll see you guys then. And peace.